Yeah, what's your name? Michael. No worries, Michael.
5 o'clock, yeah?
Cheers.
Right,
thanks, Michael.
Yes.
Cheers, thank you.
But I'm absolutely fully booked today. Mark might be able to do something a bit later.
I can't, Rick, I'm done now.
No, he's booked up all day today now as well. I can do tomorrow afternoon.
I used to go and wait with my mum when she had her hair cut, and I really loved the environment. The guy that owned the shop then, Peter Jones, who I worked for later on, he had a really good life. He had an E-Type Jag and a Mark I Golf GTI, and all these really lovely women working for him. And I just liked the smell of the place, and at the age of 6 I thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. I did hairdressing straight from school. I finished my last GCSE in the morning and walked to work that afternoon and started a 3-year apprenticeship. Ended up worked in London for a couple of years in Fleet Street and Greenwich, and then moved down to Portsmouth. Got a really good job in IT, hated it, just dealing with numbers. Absolutely just hated it, really, really hated it. It was very clinical and there was very little sort of social interaction, which is what I enjoy about this. So I did that for 5 years. And then I was able to take redundancy, and I used that redundancy money to set the business up. So that's how I'm here, really. No, we're not all into superheroes. One of us specifically is into superheroes. That will be Rockabilly Mark. Mark I worked with when I first moved to Portsmouth. Around 20 years ago, I worked in a salon with Mark for about a year. So I've known Mark off and on for 20 years.
They would drive like slabs along the floor, and they were literally getting this electric razor shape. The sideburn attachment, just running it over his eyebrows. I said, you're not going to cut any hair like that. You're going to turn around and scoop up the hair. Tim I worked with in another barber's. They both approached me about coming to work with me. They liked the shop, they liked the environment. They seemed to get what it was that I wanted to create here.
I've got something to show to you.
The idea behind it was like a gentleman's club, so the warm red walls and also the whole kind of red, white and blue Lambretta kind of thing. I really wanted the business to be on Albert Road because I think it's one of the really funky parts of Portsmouth where you've got all the independent businesses, and I felt that my idea, what I wanted to create here, would really shine on Albert Road as well. There is a lot of competition, but it doesn't seem like a lot of the other businesses put a lot of thought into the actual environment that they create. So I felt that it could really have a good impact down here. It's vibrant, full of some very interesting people. It's full of nutters as well, but some really nice people. Where you've got all the independent businesses, there's a lot of communication between businesses, and there's a real sort of sense of community between different traders down here, which is a great environment to work in. I really enjoy seeing people's lives develop. So you cut children's hair that grow up and get girlfriends and go on and get engaged and get married, and so that's what I like about the sort of social side of it. Phil's a good example of what I was saying about me enjoying seeing people's lives develop. So, how long ago was it you started talking about Jordan? 2 years? 18 months?
About that, yeah.
Yeah, about this girl that he was in love with, had known her for ages, but it never amounted to anything. And now they're engaged, getting married this year. It's brilliant, isn't it? I love that sort of thing. Well, I think my haircut was probably integral to that.
It was, I think. Was it? Yeah, that's what yesterday was for, with my girlfriend.
The barber's pole comes from medieval times when the barbers actually used to be surgeons, so they would perform minor operations, and outside their shops they would hang the bandages to dry in the wind, and the bandages would be bloody, they'd be red, and they'd spin in the wind, which is where the red spiral comes from. My barber's pole I actually made myself, so it's not quite the normal. It's actually starting to fall apart a bit now, so I am going to need to make a new one. The way, I think barbers were a lot more simple before. It was a sit, wait, next, next, and it was just a bit of a conveyor belt, whereas now I think guys are starting to want more. So we do the product ranges, people are interested in the skincare, you know, what we have in the shop now, we've got broadband, coffee, there's a retro video game in here, so people do want more now, I think. So I think it's actually completely the other way. Yeah. I think people used to get a lot less, which is one of the problems, I think, for barbers in being able to charge a reasonable amount for their work. You know, I mean, we charge £12 for a haircut in here. Now that's half an hour of our time. I don't think there's many trades where you can get half an hour of a professional's time for £12. So it'd be nice to see the price reflected in people getting more they are getting more for their money, but it would be nice to be able to charge a bit more and actually have your work a bit more respected, I think.
I've got something to show to you.